What is the role of religion in our ever-changing world? From the NewsChannel 5 network, this is Issues of Faith.
Hello everyone, welcome to Issues of Faith. Today we are going inside the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church, the beautiful church there on Franklin Road. And we're learning about the Orthodox Church and the project that's going on inside that church, the Iconography project, and the beautiful facility there. Thank you for being with us. We have with us Father Michael Marcantoni. He's the priest at the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church. Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So, for those of us who may not know about the Orthodox Church, how would you define it, describe it? What is the Orthodox Church?
Great. So, the Orthodox Church is, if we're just getting kind of down to nuts and bolts, it's the historic continuity of the same churches founded by the apostles. So, as we all kind of know, in the New Testament, we see the apostles founding churches, Paul especially, founding churches in the eastern end of the Mediterranean, Greece and Palestine, the Near East. Well, those are the Orthodox churches. Those are the places that stand out. And the reality is those communities never cease to exist. So, you read an epistle to the Ephesians, there's still an Orthodox bishop in Ephesus. You read an epistle to the Corinthians, there's still an Orthodox bishop in Corinthos. So, Orthodoxy is the historical continuity of the same body of churches and congregations founded by the apostles. That's the best way to put it.
It would not be right to say you're Catholic. You're different than Catholic.
Correct. Yeah. So, that word, it's a word that of course we coined. The word Catholic, as opposed to universal, it breaks out into kataolo, or according to the whole. In other words, universal in the sense that it lacks nothing, it contains everything, has the fullness of truth. So it is a word that we use, but we are distinct from them. I think one of the most important ways that we can see that is there is not a single universal bishop over the entire Orthodox Church. The various Orthodox primates come together, make decisions together, and there is a lot more autonomy on the local level.
A lot more autonomy.
Yeah.
And what's happening now, I want to just show some video. So what's happening now inside your church is the second stage of an iconography project. Here we see the video. It's beautiful. So tell us, what is happening? What does that mean, the second stage of the iconography project?
So it's very easy for us as North Americans to kind of get stuck in this loop to where we take for granted the fact that books are easily accessible. But for most of history, there wasn't a printing press. The printing press is only about 400 or 500 years old. So for most of history, in order to have the gospel available to people, you had to preach, you had to put it into a visual format. You simply couldn't tell everyone, go down to your local bookstore and pick up your preferred translation. That didn't exist. So very early on within Orthodox Christian history, a stylized form of artwork called iconography developed, and it exists as a standardized way to present the gospel of Jesus Christ in a visual medium. So the color choices, the gestures, the everything else, whatever is there, it's not the discretion of the artist, it's rather the standardized meaning of presenting the gospel in a visual form.
This is a distinct style,
yes,
but there are fundamental similarities among Orthodox churches. You go in Orthodox, and there's some fundamental things you're going to see that you're seeing up here right now in your church.
Absolutely. So, both structurally, right? Both structurally from the layout of an Orthodox church, whether you're in a Russian church, a Greek church, a Romanian church, and all those national titles just simply tell you where the community has its roots from. You're going to see the same basic structure, the same basic format, and even though in some of this iconography, the Russian style, for example, may look different than the Greek style, it still functions in the same fundamental way and towards the same fundamental purpose, and that is, once again, to make the gospel, to make the message of Jesus Christ, which otherwise, right, in a world before the printing press, would not be as easily accessible, visually accessible to everyone in attendance. So whether you are literate or illiterate, whether you have availability to your own personal copy or not, you have access to the same information.
So as I look at that video, and we'll keep showing the video.
Yeah,
the people, and I'm seeing on the pews, there's all of this stuff. There's scaffolds within your congregation now. Where do you find the people to do this very specialized work?
Well, so right now, because this is an enormous project. It's an enormous undertaking. So right now we're having services in the hall. We're not, we're not in the church. And I was asked by people, are we going to be able to stay in the church? But truthfully, the idea of having 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds coming under the scaffolding and potentially bumping things, that was a risk I wasn't comfortable taking. So we're in the hall.
You're worshiping in the hall.
We're worshiping in the hall. We've set up sort of kind of an ad hoc, the altar there, the iconostas, and everything is much simpler. It is a minor inconvenience, but at the end of it, in just a couple of short weeks here, we get to come in and come back into a space that is going to just be phenomenally gorgeous. And that is the other thing that's worth saying about Orthodoxy's love of iconography. I mentioned the communication of the gospel in a visual medium, but there's also this sense that there is no goodness or beauty or truth apart from God, apart from Jesus Christ. And so we seek to make everything as beautiful as possible. It's not simply a matter of aesthetics, but we're seeking to draw in the eye all of the senses. We use copious amounts of incense, and the chanting, the music is beautiful, and the entire person should be engaged. It is from its very inception in the days of the apostles. It is a very holistic endeavor. So for us as a community to come back and come into a space that is even more entirely enrapturing of the whole person, it's something we're all looking forward to be honest. I'm excited to get back in there. The people are excited to get back in there, and it's motivating.
How do you find the people to do this? Is it specialized, or do you just go and get a few contractors and say, okay, you got the best bid? How does that happen?
Yeah, as you would expect, right? As you would expect, this is not typical normal art that you see here in North America. So, in an Orthodox country like Greece or Russia or Serbia or Romania, people who know how to do this are kind of everywhere. Our iconographer, we've brought him over from Greece. He did the work. If you're looking back at the earlier images that are there behind the altar, he did those. And so the style is going to be consistent throughout. Themis, he is from Greece, and they've come here. So they've got their scope of work, they've got their contract, they have their return tickets. So we kind of know when we're going to be back into the church, more or less.
They're going to go back whether they're done or not.
Well, yeah, they're going to be done. 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 They're there long days. They're doing phenomenal work. And they are, yeah. But yeah, they're so in a couple of short weeks. So it takes somebody you bring over from Greece to do this work. In this case, yeah. I mean, it's not that you couldn't have an iconographer from North America. You could, but given that this isn't the common landscape, they're much harder to find. Mm-hmm. This isn't, again, it's just not something that's as common here. Like in Greece or in Romania, you don't have to bring someone from somewhere else. They're everywhere. And so, is this a restoration? In other words, are you kind of making repairs, or are you making an entire new
piece of art? I mean, is it new what you're doing, or kind of restoring what's already there?
So if, and this would be great, so if people get onto our website, right, if they look up Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church Nashville, you'll see the pictures on there show most of the walls being white. Well, most of the walls that you'll see on the website being white, 360 degrees all the way around, are now covered with icons. But, and this is a really great way that it's been done, most of those are done on canvas ahead of time back in Greece. Themis brings them over. They're applied to the walls, the embellishments, the border, embroidering, and borders and everything are done here. And so if, God forbid, we ever had to move into a different space, they could be taken down, they could be moved, they could be relocated, and then there would just kind of be the minimal amount of repainting to be done. But yeah, so the bulk of the work is done ahead of time. It's brought over, it's put up on the wall, and then the borders, the embellishing, the things around to make it blend in are kind of done on the local building. So
and let's talk about icons.
Yeah, go ahead.
Icons are a holy image, and this is a distinctive art form of the Orthodox Church.
Yes.
And I guess explain that. How is it distinctive?
Okay, so our notion of icons within Orthodoxy is rooted in who we believe Jesus Christ is. So we have this thought that we have this teaching and this thought that because God made himself visible, the things of God are therefore visible, and that becomes sort of the reoffering of the first fruits of creation. That physical beauty, artistic beauty, that the things that go into a proper temple are not accidental, but they're because we believe that God made himself visible, that we could then go ahead and make visible what he's done. So, and you see that in the Old Testament as well. You know, you look back into the book, the 2 Kings, I think it is, and you see Solomon's temple. Solomon's temple is covered with images inside and out. A lot of people skip over that, but it's there. You know, these things. This temple is covered with images inside and out, and it's meant to convey the sense of eternality and orthodoxy.
In other words, the individual that is shown is somehow present. And do you mean that it kind of signifies the ongoing presence of that?
Well, so there's that continuity with that idea. But as far as the individual goes, you're looking at a stylized representation of individuals that is not meant to be historical as much as it is meant to be educational, pedagogical. So you're meant to be brought into what you need to know about this individual. Let's say someone in iconography, you know, like Hebrews, Paul's epistle to Hebrews says, we're surrounded by this great cloud of witnesses. So we come into that as Orthodox Christians, but they're not presented the way that they looked in their everyday life. We know that. It's presented in a stylized way that is meant to communicate details about their life and about them as such. So you wouldn't look at an icon and say, well, that person really had blue eyes or really had brown eyes or blonde hair. And that's not the point. The point is you're being pointed towards, you're being directed towards information about them that makes the gospel communicable. I would say it's like this. If we're to give a short analogy, it's very much the way family photographs function within the household. If you were to ask any little kid to go and take a picture of their grandma and they kiss it, and what are we kissing? Well, you know, what you're kissing is paper and celluloid. Who are you kissing? You're kissing grandma.
Right.
If I were to tear up that image and step on it, who am I disrespecting? I'm disrespecting grandma. It's not just paper and celluloid. I'm disrespecting her. Well, I mean, you could say, well, like, what does it matter? It's just paper. No, well, no, it isn't. because this great woman in our family is represented there, and you don't disrespect that. So that's a good way of understanding the way that these things function. We have the family portraits up all around the church, and then we give them the kind of respect that they deserve.
All right, we're going to take a break. Continue our discussion right after this. We'll show some more video. I think it's fascinating what's happening there. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.